King Philip, the King of France, dressed in armor and wearing his crown, conveyed his decision to the French soldiers. Across the Channel, England had instigated this war. The French, even if it meant shedding their last drop of blood, would fight England to the end and never surrender. No one could conquer France. He then raised his sword, and the soldiers cheered and waved their flags. De Nogaret, watching the excited King Philip, still did not want to go to war with England and decided to meet with the English envoy. Landry was hanging oranges on the city gate waiting, but he didn't see anyone show up after waiting for a long time. At that moment, Gawain arrived at the city wall and stated that it was time to execute Tancred. His punishment would be to carry a cross on his shoulders and walk past his fellow knights. Along the way, the knights would strike him with their fists to expel the supposed evil spirits within him. The heavier the blows, the more Tancred would be saved. The heavy cross made it difficult for Tancred to walk. At first, he could endure it, but soon he couldn't hold out any longer. Even when beaten to his knees, he felt no regret. Tancred believed that killing the Saracen was to protect the Holy Land.
I do not repent!
De Nogaret arrived at the Earl of England's residence, only to find it empty. King Philip was bewildered and displeased that the English had left without a word. To make King Philip aware of the danger he was in, De Nogaret brought the Pope to persuade the king not to go to war with England. De Nogaret took a sip of red wine and suddenly felt something strange in his body. His vision blurred, but he did not collapse. He rushed to Queen Joan and, with his last bit of strength, knocked over the wine she was about to drink. The wine was poisoned, and chaos ensued as everyone suspected the English of the deed. At this time, Landry was waiting on the tower for the church members to appear, but what he waited for was the news that the royal family was assassinated. He rushed there with his man. Landry was more concerned about the queen's safety than the overall situation at the palace. He learned that De Nogaret was unconscious, and since the type of poison was unknown, there was no way to treat him. Everyone thought De Nogaret might not survive. Despite the incident, Princess Isabella's wedding was to proceed as planned, and Landry was tasked with protecting the queen. Gawain inspected the Earl of England's room and detected a strange smell coming from a box.
What is it?
It contained Greek fire, a highly flammable substance that could be ignited by the smallest spark and could not be extinguished with water. Gawain knew that only one person was familiar with Greek fire, Tancred. Tancred initially refused to speak, but when Parsifal mentioned the presence of 2 boxes of Greek fire that could burn down the palace and the temple, Tancred revealed what he knew. He had seen a Mongolian killer using Greek fire, but he didn't know his name because this mysterious man always wore a mask and came and went without a trace. Tancred suggested using sulfur to detect the Greek fire, as it would turn white upon contact with the substance. Landry visited the queen's chamber for the first time, feeling unhappy because he knew the king and queen had reconciled. He was heartbroken that the woman he loved did not belong to him. Queen Joan revealed that she was pregnant and had to stay with the king. Landry was shocked but happy to learn that Joan was carrying his child. Just when he was happy, the queen said that the father of the child could only be King Philip. The queen also said to Landry again what Landry had said to herself before. At this time, Gawain came knocking on the door and reported to Landry about the Greek fire. After a thorough inspection using sulfur, the palace was deemed safe. As the knights left, a mysterious iron-faced man appeared. They found the knight's physician and said that if Landry wanted to talk to him, he must first return the Saracen's body to him. It turns out that the Saracen who was captured before was his son. After hearing what the doctor said, Landry immediately agreed to the other party's conditions. The wedding proceeded as planned, but not everyone was happy. Parsifal thought of his fiancée, Marie, and Landry, standing beside the queen, noticed a shadow. An iron-faced man was aiming at the king. Landry pushed the king out of the way and was struck by an arrow. Chaos erupted, and Princess Isabella fled with Prince Louis, but she was captured by a black-clad figure. Prince Louis quickly chased the robbers, but the robbers took the princess into the carriage. The carriage was not moving fast in the alley. and the prince finally caught up with the horse. Isabella's skirt got stuck in the carriage, and the prince took out a dagger to cut off the skirt. But Isabella suddenly pushed the prince down and jumped out of the carriage herself. The prince was still calling out the princess' name in worry when the Iron Mask drew out his scimitar and the carriage burst into flames. No one could survive under such flames. The princess pretended to be in pain on the side of the road.
Gawain.
Back at the palace, Princess Isabella gave Dinagaret an antidote, and he regained consciousness. It turned out that Dinagaret had orchestrated the entire plot to sabotage the wedding. No one expected that the only person who was poisoned was the mastermind behind all this. The missing English ambassador did not return to England, but was kidnapped by the man in the Iron Mask. The Iron Mask took off his mask, revealing a yellow-skinned woman. Everything she did was instructed by Dinagaret. Facing the English envoy, he said that he would tell King Phillip that all this was the Duke's conspiracy. The reason was that he was resentful of not being able to marry the princess and wanted to sabotage the marriage. All this had nothing to do with the Kingdom of England. The marriage between France and Catalonia could no longer continue. The prince died, and the queen returned home with his body. Dinagaret again proposed a marriage alliance with England, and this time, King Philip agreed. Landry, feeling dejected, walked alone through the streets, reflecting on the day's events. He thought about his child calling the king father in the future, and he had blocked an arrow for the king. At this moment, someone suddenly called him. A group of men in black appeared in the darkness, and a man walked out of the crowd. Landry recognized him. It was the man in his memory, Rashid. This man, who had committed countless evil deeds and taken many lives, was unexpectedly outmaneuvered by a seemingly insignificant character. A woman followed a suspicious man to a dye house. The man was highly alert and had already noticed someone tailing him. However, he remained composed because, in his eyes, the girl was also his prey. The girl, fearless, bravely engaged in a struggle with the man. During the fight, the girl quickly picked up the broken pieces of the pottery jar and stabbed the man, but unfortunately she failed. The man, growing impatient, drew his dagger. Just then, the girl suddenly smiled. She explained that she had heard the signal for the guards to change shifts. Seizing the moment of his distraction, the girl embraced the man and rolled out of the window with him. The man fainted when he landed. The girl quickly informed the guards that this man was Roland, wanted by the Knights Templar for several murders. The guards, upon hearing this, took both of them to the Templar headquarters. Upon seeing Roland, Parsifal was filled with rage. Gawain stopped him and told Parsifal that he was now a trainee Templar and must remain calm at all times. The Templars had captured Roland, but Landry was nowhere to be found. Upon learning this, Gawain immediately ordered all Templar knights to search for Landry. Draper, however, stated that they would not find him, revealing that Landry had been taken by the Brotherhood of Light. A short while later, Landry returned to the Templar headquarters, shackled and limping. When he breaks the chain, Gawain tells him that Godfrey's killer has been caught. Enraged, Landry rushed to the dungeon, not to interrogate Roland but to vent his anger. If not for Gawain and Draper's intervention, Roland might have lost his life. After venting his fury, Landry visited Tancred in his cell. Seeing the miserable Tancred, Landry asked him to pack up and then took his equipment to find the blacksmith. Gawain then announced that Tancred had been expelled from the Knights Templar. Tancred took his armor to the blacksmith's shop. His equipment will be melted down into chains, and he will be paraded in chains for 1 year and 1 day. Before Gawain could finish speaking, Landry interrupted him. Landry said that this punishment was a penance that would only be accepted by brothers who were allowed to return to the order, and Tancred was exiled and would not be allowed to return for life. Tancred remained silent, but he could sense from Landry's expression that something serious had happened. After expelling Tancred, Landry fell into deep thought. Earlier, he had been captured by the Brotherhood of Light and locked in a wooden crate, his hands and feet shackled. As he tried to escape, water began to fill the crate, quickly submerging it. Landry tried every means to break free, but to no avail. Just as he was about to give up, the water level began to recede, and then he heard knives hacking at the wood. It turned out that Rashid had orchestrated this to instill fear in Landry and extract the information he wanted. Rashid demanded to know Landry's mother's name, but Landry refused to answer. Rashid then set fire to the wooden crate. Although the wet wood did not catch fire, it produced a thick, choking smoke. Rashid continued to press Landry for his mother's name, leading Landry to suspect that the scroll contained this question. This lack of a positive answer from him angered Rashid, and he had his men add some fuel to the fire. Although the wooden box did not catch fire, The temperature rose rapidly, and it was hot and choking. Landry was so uncomfortable that he kept stamping his feet. Rashid then devised another torture. He made Landry stand on a stone with a rope around his neck, making it difficult for him to breathe and causing him to hallucinate. In his delirium, Landry mistook Rashid for Queen Joan. No matter how much Rashid interrogated him, Landry refused to answer. Rashid was about to kill him but was stopped by his men, who reminded him that killing Landry would mean losing the information they sought. Landry had been hanging like this for a long time. His body could no longer support him. His hallucinations became more and more clear. It seemed that his life was about to come to an end. Just as he seemed on the brink of death, Rashid's henchman Khalil slapped him awake. Khalil killed 2 guards and escaped with Landry to the outskirts of the city. During their escape, Khalil revealed to Landry that the scroll did not ask for his mother's name but for his birthplace. Rashid had lied. Landry, lying on the ground, struggled to understand why Godfrey, a Christian, would be involved with the Brotherhood of Light. Khalil explained that the Brotherhood of Light was composed of people from various nations who shared a common goal: to protect the Holy Grail from falling into the wrong hands. As Khalil spoke, he mentioned Landry's childhood involvement in protecting the Holy Grail and casually asked how old Landry was at the time. Landry sensed something amiss and suspected that Khalil was trying to extract information under the guise of saving him. So, he started shouting Rashid's name. Sure enough, it was Rashid's ploy, but unfortunately Landry didn't fall for it. Rashid loses his patience and regrets that he didn't kill Landry in Akka City 15 years ago, and after that, he pulls out his scimitar. Outside the French royal palace, the royal family and de Nogaret watched as the attendants of the English envoy were led to the gallows. The Earl of Oxford had committed suicide, and his attendants were accused of treason, but this incident had brought England and France closer together. Isabella saw the servant going to the gallows with tears in her eyes, and she was very emotional. Meanwhile, King Phillip was about to bestow a title upon de Nogaret in recognition of his loyalty during the royal crisis. As the attendants were hanged one by one, the princess fled the execution scene. The queen went over to comfort the princess, while de Nogaret spied on her from the other side. Isabella wanted to say that she indirectly killed the 2 British servants, but she didn't confess the truth in the end. She said that she was sad because of Prince Louis's death. Relieved, de Nogaret returned to his room, where he found a man waiting for him. The man, hidden in the shadows, was de Nogaret's uncle, Marlborough. The two were plotting to bring down the Knights Templar and the Pope. Marlborough revealed that he had assembled 2,000 elite soldiers, but de Nogaret wanted 5,000. Marlborough said that he needed 5,000 elite soldiers, which would require more money. Marlborough then mentioned de Nogaret's father. He said that de Nogaret's father was burned alive by the Pope's men. Marlborough reminded de Nogaret not to forget the revenge for his father's murder. At the royal palace, King Philip held a ceremony to knight de Nogaret. Isabella was overjoyed and promised de Nogaret a surprise after the ceremony. The princess came to de Nogaret's room and tried to flatten the scroll, but accidentally knocked over the pen holder. As she picked up the pens, she felt a draft, indicating a hidden door. Intrigued, Isabella opened the secret passage and explored it. At a bend in the passage, she saw her mother through a peephole. Further along, she discovered another small hole blocked by a wooden plug. When she removed the plug, her expression changed to one of shock. She realized that the hole looked directly into her own bedchamber. Suddenly, she remembered the night she had spent with Prince Louis and understood that it was not Louis who had betrayed her but de Nogaret. Furious, Isabella confronted de Nogaret in front of the assembled guests and courtiers, accusing him of murdering Prince Louis. After hearing this, King Philip asked everyone to leave. The princess confessed that she believed de Nogaret's words because she thought it was Louis who revealed that they were together. King Philip was shocked to learn that his daughter had been intimate with Prince Louis. De Nogaret tried to argue that the English envoy had poisoned him. Isabella directly exposed the truth, saying that it was de Nogaret who asked her to give him the antidote. Cornered, de Nogaret admitted his actions, claiming he had done it all for France. De Nogaret said that King Philip chose Catalonia to please the queen. Enraged, King Philip attacked de Nogaret. Meanwhile, Rashid held a knife to Landry's throat but did not kill him, knowing that another group was also searching for the Holy Grail. Rashid agreed to let Landry find the Holy Grail, but on the condition that Tancred, who killed his son, be handed over. So Landry chose to expel Tancred, but he couldn't let his brother die, so he decided to replace Tancred with himself. Gawain overheard Landry's struggle and questioned why he would protect a traitor. However, Landry's mind was made up. Adelina, who had captured Roland, was preparing to leave. Parsifal gave her a bag of money, explaining that it was a reward from the Templars for capturing a fugitive. Before leaving, Adelina handed Parsifal a small note, saying it was a message Roland had intended to pass on and that it might be useful to them. Landry went to face Rashid alone, taking responsibility for the Templars' actions as their leader. Landry said he would rather not have the Holy Grail than exchange the life of the paladin for information. After saying that, he drew out his sword and threw it on the ground. Disappointed, Rashid ordered his men to kill Landry. Just then came Tancred's voice. It was Gawain who brought him. Tancred offered to exchange himself for the information about the Holy Grail. Rashid whispered to Landry that he should look for the Grail in the place where he and Godfrey had first met. He also promised that the Brotherhood of Light would follow Landry if he found the Grail.